welcome to this bonus episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited. This is like a monumental milestone episode. If we had sound effects, if we had an applause button, I would push it right now and have the audience clapping and you would hear the claps because I finally got Tammy to watch Parasite. Yay! Yay! Yay!
You all by yourself on that one, I guess. No audience is clapping.
I know. Okay. Anyway, so for those of you that don't remember or don't know, Parasite is the surprise runaway Korean hit which dominated the 2020 Oscars last year. And it's a tale of two families who are on a collision course. You have the wealthy Park family and the poor yet ambitious, we'll call them hustler, Kim family. And it tells the story of what happens when these two families and the things that separate them, such as greed, wealth, and class, when they all collide head first. Tammy, what did you think of Parasite?
It was cool. I would never watch it on my own. I'll tell y'all right now. If I hadn't been forced to watch it, yes, I feel like I was forced to watch it. If I hadn't been forced to watch it, I never, ever would have sat down and watched this movie. Not to say that it's not bad, because I will say that it's really, really good. It's just not my type of movie. It's one of those movies I can acknowledge how good it is and still be okay if I had never watched it. If that makes sense.
Yes, but you liked it.
I did not.
It.
I did not. Who said I liked it?
You said it was a good movie. You said it was cool.
No. See, there's a difference between acknowledging a good movie and liking the movie. I can acknowledge that it's a really, really good movie. Like, it's very well shot. I can understand why the director won for Best Director, because he won for Best Director for the Oscar, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can fully understand. Like, it was beautifully shot movie. The acting was really good, where you really believe the nonsense of these characters. But I never would have watched it. If I when it started to get batshit crazy, like at the beginning it was batshit crazy. But then when it started to do a whole 180 on batshit craziness, I would have stopped watching it. I was like, really? Like, you literally had your husband in the basement for 2 years? Like, this man ain't seen the sun in 2 years? Where you got to treat him like he a little kid? Like, really? I was like, nah, this ain't for me. This ain't for me. I said, I don't know where you go for this one. Woo, goodness gracious. That just went fully over my head on that nonsense. It was, they had me up until then. I'll be honest with you. They had me up until the housekeeper showed back up with her busted up face, go all the way down in the basement of the basement of the basement to go help her husband out, who had been living in the basement of the basement of the basement for 2 years. 2 years. I said, okay, all right. They lost me on that one.
Well, okay. So, what did you think of? Get it? Yes. Director Bong Joon-ho did a phenomenal job. He not only won for Best Director, it won Best Foreign Film, which everyone thought, oh, okay, it was a lot for Best Foreign Film. No way in hell did they think that it would also run away with Best Film, which it did. So it cleaned up at the 2020 Oscars, which was, the last time the world was kind of normal last year. I remember that. But so starting from the beginning, what did you think about the Park family? They were the rich family. I loved their house, by the way. It was a bad house. I loved it.
Yeah, not my cup of tea. I don't like modern homes. But what did I write in my notes? I took some notes because I knew I had to take some. So okay, the wife was exactly as simpleton as Min said that she was. The husband had a lack of awareness of his surroundings. Like, he ain't know what was going on around him. But I have to say that he was a great father, though. I think he was a great, like, head of family on how he took care of his family, how he trusted his wife, how he discussed everything with her. It wasn't like, I don't like this person, so you need to fire them. It was having a conversation and then, showing her why this person needs to be let go, or, I think they had a good partnership in their simple lack of awareness kind of thing. So their family was a typical family. They just happened to be really, really rich and, have the stereotype of being a selfish, rich family. But they just seemed like a typical family.
So do you think that their wealth is what made them oblivious to certain things? Like
if they were poor, they wouldn't have been the same way they are?
I think to me, the wealth made them oblivious to certain things.
But I feel like wealth can't make anybody oblivious to certain things outside of their circle of wealth. I think that even people who did not grow up with wealth, when you become a certain level of rich, you can let go of certain aspects of the life that you had when you were really poor, and you lose that perspective. So I don't think it can be held against them on, like, they were a product of their environment, I guess I would say. And they were actually not a bad product of their environment, because we've seen worse. So I think that they were a very low version of a rich family that happened to be a little oblivious to the poverty that surrounds them, which is kind of what goes on with all rich families. Not that many rich families that know about the poverty that's around them.
Some do, some don't, but I guess they weren't your stereotypical. Let me put it this way: their oblivion did not make them
assholes.
Yeah, they weren't your stereotypical rich, cruel, we don't care family. It's just, they just really didn't focus on things outside of, like you said, their circle. So they weren't necessarily assholes about it. Because they did now, and they were kind to the Parks, to the Kims, although they didn't realize that they were all one big family. Okay, so what did you think about the Kims?
Evil geniuses.
You called them evil. Why were they evil?
Because they took advantage of the whole family.
Okay, so the assholes were flipped, is what we're saying.
Yeah, they took advantage of the situation, and you look at how they manipulated the family. Like, I understand the dynamics of the movie, because the kids were actual geniuses. Like, they were extremely smart people who just didn't have the same opportunities as if they were born into a different family. If they had different parents, just imagine what their lives could have been like if they had been born with some level of opportunities being offered to them, because the daughter was phenomenal on, how great she was. And then the son was, I'm thinking he was probably RM level of genius because he was one of the, because he was the English tutor, right? And you know, like taking that test, like they say, is very, very hard. I forgot what it's like, letters TOEIC or something like that. The English speaking test that they take, and a lot of pressure is put on doing well. He did very well on that. That's the reason why men went to him to come tutor for English, because he was really, really smart. Like, he could acknowledge that he just, you know, couldn't do what he just didn't have the opportunity to actually succeed, because his mom and dad were extremely poor, like dirt poor, like sub-basement apartment poor. But I think like they took advantage of that family. They manipulated them, and I fully understand, like, they're poor and, you know, the opportunity was in front of them. It doesn't excuse the fact that they manipulated them.
Yeah. Okay. So great, but can we go back and talk about that apartment for a moment? When the movie first opens up, I remember thinking, what the hell am I watching? Because you see them where they live, and it's like dirt poor, like sub basement. No exaggeration. The apartment is basically below ground.
And
they live
below
in
ground.
below ground. And they live in an alley. And one of the first things from the alley is someone throwing out their trash, and they can smell it when the trash is thrown out. And then a drunk partier coming out of one of the bars pees right in front of their house. And the mom was like, why didn't you put up the sign? And the dad was like, because that just makes them want to pee even
more. Which is very realistic, because I feel like that is something that people do. When they see a sign that tells them not to do something, they want to do it more.
And it was so bad. Like, the smell, it was almost like sewer levels, where the smell, it's like, and I think it was a great, parallel or a metaphor for just how people associate the poor, like the stench of being poor. Some people say that, and it follows them because they all have this smell, which no one in the house noticed except for the son. You know, that they all smelled the same. Like,
and then after the son points it out, you see, like, the dad talks about it. Then the mom realizes it when she's in the car with Mr. Ken, with the poor dad. And then she puts down the window. Rather than saying anything, she just puts down the window, kind of thing. So it's after the son points out, like, they smell the same. I was like, oh, shoot. And then he started smelling himself, like, what do we smell like? Do we smell poor? What do we smell like? We got to use different laundry detergent, different fabric softener, different soap. Like, what's going on?
But then it's like, and it wasn't the fact that they were poor. It was the fact that you lived basically in a fucking sewer.
Yeah.
That was so.
And the perfect example to let you know that is exactly where they live is when the flooding happened.
Oh, God.
And they gotta wade themselves through shitty ass water, like literally shit water, to get to their sub-basement apartment. And then the perfect scene is when the daughter gets on the toilet. She closes the toilet. She sits on the toilet with her feet up on the toilet, and she's on her phone while shit is spewing out of the toilet bowl. And I was like, perfect example of the difference in the families.
And then the way where she just sat there, like, you could tell just how they were going through it, how they dealt with it, like,
and how they were used to it.
Yes, it just seemed like an annoyance, like, oh God, not this again. And how they had to basically bum Wi-Fi. They had to move their phones around in the apartment to see where they could get the best Wi-Fi signal from. So, and you were right, because when you see the title Parasite, you think it's a leech, something that lives off of something else. We tend to have this thing where we think that the rich would be the parasite, how they're leeching off of the poor.
Wait, what?
And how they would.
Oh, no. The poor is the parasites. Okay, we had different viewpoints. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize for cutting you
Well,
off.
I'm just saying by the title that you would think that. But in this movie, no, it's opposite. The poor family, they're the parasitic family. They're the ones who come in and try to and just take and take and take. And you're right, manipulate. So in this movie, the Kims would actually be the bad guys.
But when I felt that when I hear the word parasite and you read the synopsis of the movie, like I don't think the common thought is to think that the rich are the parasites. I feel that the rich consider the poor to be parasites, and by saying it over and over again that the poor is just living off of the government, and why don't they just do something about it? The poor even start to feel that they're parasites themselves, or other poor people are parasites, because we always think we're better than the ones around us, even though we literally all live in the same area. But then I felt like he was showing who the parasites were by the fact that he showed the Kim family first, and how they were literally stealing Wi-Fi because they weren't going to pay for it themselves. So they were sucking resources from everywhere that they could get. Yeah, that's the parasites that I felt they were.
What were they? So I guess here's the question and you get this question a lot when it comes to poor people. Why can't you just do better? Why couldn't they get a better job? Why couldn't the dad get a better job to support his family? Why did he have to hustle why couldn't the daughter go to the school that she wanted to go to, the design school? And what was it? She wanted to be a graphic designer?
Yeah.
So even though you're poor, that's no excuse for you not to be able to do the things that you want to do. She could have gotten a scholarship. So that's the legit question.
I don't think it's necessarily she could have got a scholarship thing. I mean, granted, I don't know fully how Korean society works, but from what I've gathered is that they go more on legacy than anything else. It's who you know and where you come from more than just being really, really good. Because even when you're phenomenal at what you do, that is not going to open doors for you the same way that I guess they may in other places. Because I know like the son talks about how he served in the military really, really early because he had to quit school. He had to drop out of college. Why did he have to drop out? Because he had to help support the family. It, like one of the responsibilities he had was to help support the family, and the same thing with her. So even if she had gotten a scholarship, it wouldn't have covered the whole cost of affording a school in Seoul, because Seoul is extremely expensive, and then she would have had to quit school anyway in order to support the family as well, because that's just kind of how it works over there in Korea. So no matter how smart you are, they never would have made it. They wouldn't have, because their parents didn't have that, I guess that attitude, and they didn't have that fight in them either.
So, but you can say that it's not just a Korean problem, because we have that here in America. I mean, so I think it's just a universal, and I guess that was one of the things that I found really appealing about the movie, is even though it was a Korean movie, the actors, everybody in the movie was Korean, the director, all of that. Bong Joon-ho, who also directed Snowpiercer, which is a weird but good movie, with Chris Evans on the train, but I digress. Is that you could relate to the universal issues of class and wealth, because it is universal. It's not just a Korean problem. You see it in America. You see it everywhere. those distinctions and those issues. I don't think that people go as far as the Kim family did to try to. Do you think, okay, to try to make a come up? But I have a question. Do you think if shit had not gone off the rails, what was their end game? Were they going to kill the Parks? Like, it seemed like they were trying to take over their life.
I don't know. I don't think they thought that far ahead. I think they were making decisions based on what came next, kind of thing. And they were just kind of taking it one problem at a time. So I don't know what their end game was. I didn't get a feeling of them basically kind of showing you what their end game was. I think they were just all about survival, and they had stability in all working for the Park family, and so they were going to continue it with any means necessary. I don't know what the son would have done when Min came back, because Min was going away for a while, but he wanted to come back to get back with the daughter. So I'm like, so what would you have done when your friend came back for his girl?
But I know but here's the thing, hadn't he started to fall for the daughter himself?
No, he ain't fall for her. He played her through and through.
Well, she had fought, okay, well, she was over Min, and she was so into Kiwoo, what's his name. So
I don't even think I don't think that either. I think she used whatever opportunity was available to her. I think that she just had a tendency of, and that'll probably go into her adulthood, of just falling for dudes that showed interest in her. And so, because from what I gather is she did the same thing with Min. When he was tutoring her, like, she got into a relationship with him and they were together, and then he had to, go study abroad or whatever he was doing. And then she gets a new tutor, and then all of a sudden she gets with him. And I'm just like, and I never felt like it was genuine on either side. I felt like it was an opportunity that was presented to both of them, and they just took advantage of it because it was easy to do. I never felt like it was true on either side. Now, not to say that it wasn't, but I just never got that feeling the whole time I was watching the movie, like that the feelings were really true and lasting on either side for her or for him.
I think he started, I want to say, I think he started to actually like her. I know for him it wasn't true love, but I think I know she started off as a mark. That was undeniable. She did start off as a mark, but I think he started to actually care for her. Was it true, long-lasting love? Was she the one? No. Would he, if that would have somehow guaranteed him a spot in the family, marrying the daughter, then yeah, he would have done that too. But as for her, you just made her seem like she would open her legs for whoever tutored her.
Oh, I didn't come out and say that directly.
So basically, you're saying she was fucking for A's, right?
No, I think that she was lacking. That's not what I think. I think she was lacking in emotion. I think she was lacking in affection, because if you realize, her parents paid attention more to her brother than they paid attention to her, and that's why she said, he's faking it, right? He gets all the attention from the parents because he's buck shit crazy, or he acts buck shit crazy, because you realize the son really isn't crazy. He's very aware of his surroundings. And so she was just there in a lot of ways. So I think that she was looking for affection, and she took affection wherever she could get. And it's kind of sad, because I do feel like that was a product of her not getting the affection that she needed from other places. And so she kind of took it from the dudes who tutored her. Now, so yeah, I guess so. But I don't think it was necessarily like she opened her legs for anybody, but I do think that she was lacking in affection in her life. And so when they showed her affection, she took it and ran with it.
yeah, the brother, her brother, the Park brother, he did not go crazy. He started acting like he had some damn sense when the Kim sister called him out. That's when he started acting like that. He had some sense. So we will see what that was about. But so now now, I don't necessarily think that I saw them as murderers. I don't know, but at one point, it wouldn't have surprised me if something happened and it got that far, because I was really trying to figure out how they were going to take over the life and what was the end game, like when was this going to end, like how were they going to be found out, I guess is what I was trying to figure out when I was watching it, and if they were going to be figured out, because the Parks, they did seem to have a genuine affection for the Kims, and they did come to rely on them, and they trusted them, obviously, although they didn't know that they would all be staying in their house or what have you. But I guess that's the night when it started going crazy, when the old housekeeper came back. I guess that's when it jumped the shark or went off the rails for you.
Oh yeah, I was done.
And I remember at that point we had talked, and you told me, and I said you haven't seen anything yet.
And you were right. I hadn't seen anything yet. And I was just like, and the funny thing is, while I was watching it, because we talked up until right before the maid showed up, because that's when I paused it and I, was talking to you about it. And then when I went back and watched it, I was like, oh, this is what she was talking about? Okay. Like, I automatically said that. I was just like, this is what she was talking about. She said I hadn't seen anything yet. Yeah, like, this is batshit crazy now. And yeah. I'm not about this life.
Okay, so the maid had worked for the original designer of the house. So it's like she came with the house.
Well, see, and that's like, I disagree on the Park family caring about the Kim family. No, it was the fact of saying they were their employees, and they weren't assholes to their employees. So while you're working for them, they're going to treat you right. Just like they treated the former housekeeper right when she worked for them. They treated, like, the whole thing, knowing that she was allergic to peaches. They never kept peaches in the house. Like, nobody could eat peaches in the house because of the fact that she was allergic to the fizz that was on the peach. Good to the driver before the Kim family got him fired. So they were just good to their employees. They weren't complete assholes, as rich people. And so I don't think it was genuinely caring for the Kim family. I think it was just them being nice to their employees, because that's just what people do. Like, they weren't bad human beings. They were good human beings, who trusted that the people that they hired would have their best interest at heart. And they soon find out that they do not.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with the fact that they were good people and they weren't assholes. But I do think that they did care about the Kims a little bit. What about?
Where do you see that?
I think just in the way that they treated them, just how, or maybe it was just that they had a caring disposition. So were they like best friends or anything like that? No, but I thought that they did have a caring. So maybe I'm mistaking their niceness for caring. But I thought, that they were okay. They were very nice to them. And it did, at times, it seemed more that they had a friendly relationship, that it wasn't just employee-employer. What about so when the new maid shows up, well, when the old housekeeper shows up, and they lock her they end up locking her in the basement too with her husband. Well, in the basement.
Is this after they kill her?
Wait, they kill her that night. She accidentally dies. They don't kill her on purpose. You're making it seem like that they were just stone cold murderers.
Okay, so it wasn't premeditated murder, but it was manslaughter at least.
But well, I was gonna say that depends on what state you're in, but never mind. Okay, yes. So I will give you manslaughter. So after they end up, after she ends up dying, and I was wondering about that, like how could so, but that's the thing, and I guess that goes to show just how kind of oblivious they were because when the lights would go on and off, that was one thing they said at a certain time every night. Was it about 8 o'clock or something that the lights would start blinking? It was actually the husband signaling to the wife. It was the lights coming from the basement. You know what I'm talking about? You remember that?
Yeah.
So I was like, to me, that would drive me crazy. I would think my house was haunted. So I couldn't just sit with that and be like, oh, okay. At 8 o'clock, the lights in my house are going to just start doing this weird thing. That would have to be fixed. I would have to get someone to get to the bottom of that. Maybe that's just me. But
well, sometimes it matched up with when the husband was walking around. Because if you see, like one time, like he is doing the lights, and you realize that for every step that every time the husband gets to that light, it actually was going on and off based on the husband going up the stairs to the second floor. So it could also work out on, they thought it was just like, because the wife one time mentions the fact that what it is motion censored lights or something like that.
I remember that. That was crazy. So what did you think about the ending? Like how it ended? The crazy, crazy, crazy ending.
Oh, with the psycho husband that hadn't seen the sun for 2 years?
Yes.
Trying to kill everybody because they killed his wife, who was the only person that knew he was down there to come feed him. Oh, and that's when I finally see the real, niceness of the Kim family when they were talking about how, we're going to go take food to him a little bit later on, take food to them a little bit later on. Because I think at the time they hadn't realized that the wife was dead. At that moment, only the husband knew that the wife was dead. So at that moment where they were talking about how they were going to go take food to him, and all of a sudden he comes up and he sees the son and he goes to, stab everybody. Well, stab the wife, right? Was it the wife whose name that he remembered? Went to go stab the wife, ended up stabbing the daughter, kills the daughter, and then it was, it was crazy. Like, I don't know what to say about the ending. Like, it was batshit crazy. The great thing about it is how you finally realize, like, when they couldn't find the father, and then you realize that he went into the basement. He so he's living in the basement, and they sold the house off to a new family. Had just moved to Korea, and now he's like, stifling food off of that new family. And I like that ending, the possibility of the son kind of making this dream available when it's never going to come true. But in his head, he's put this thought in his head that he's going to just gain a lot of money, become really, really rich, buy the house, and be able to save his dad. I don't know how long he thinking his dad's going to survive down there by himself while he's trying to, gain wealth to buy this house. But yeah,
because and I know, because at first when you see him having that vision, it's like, oh, that's what happened. Like, how did he make it? But then you realize, okay, now he has a criminal record because he and the mom were arrested and all of that. And then it's like, who's going to hire you? But the one thing, the other thing about it is that at least the dad knows how to get out of the sub basement to go get food from the other family, from the new family who buys the house.
But I I feel like the son could do it if he actually wanted to apply himself. We have to remember that they're literally geniuses within the family. Like, the kids are really, really, really smart. Well, now the one kid, because, the sister's dead. But the son is really, really smart. So if he applied himself, I'm sure he could do it. But the thing is does he have the motivation to actually do it? It's a nice dream, and I felt like it was him more dreaming, because at the very end he said goodbye. Yeah, goodbye, Dad. Like, let's see how long you can survive down there, because I ain't gonna do it. But like, to be that smart, like, there's gonna be somebody that wants you. Like, you just have to show your skills. But, is he actually going to show his skills? Because he was known as being really, really smart in his school.
Yeah. But what about Mr. Park at the end, when he stabs the man?
Wait, what?
At the end, I mean, not Mr. Park, but Mr. Kim. The man who was getting the keys to the car before he disappears. And he was holding his nose, like he was holding his nose trying to get the keys to the car. And then Mr. Park just grabs the gun. Mr. Kim, I'm sorry, I'm confusing the characters. He grabs the knife and he just goes up to him and stabs him, and then he just runs away. And then that's when he runs into the house, into like the sub basement, and then they can't find him.
What does that have to do with the son?
I'm just saying, Mr. Kim is the one who actually killed somebody, but I think the son could do it. I think he was just saying goodbye for now. So, will he do it? No, I don't know. I'm confused. Never mind. He had a dream. You're a dream killer. You killed the dream.
He wasn't going to do it. He has no motivation to actually do it the right way. So the family's been criminals, I'm sure. They've been criminals, or as they would call the poor, bottom feeders, because that's really what it is, that they're showcasing. And I feel like there was messages in the movie, but maybe I'm just not deep enough or intelligent enough to really focus on the messages and have that deep conversation. So I'm talking in a very surface, way about what I just see as I'm watching the movie. And at the end of the day, like, the Kim family were bottom feeders. So even though the son may have this dream of saving his dad, you're not going to save your dad. You're literally going to let him rot in the basement by himself and hope that he finds a way to get out. But then you don't want him to get out, because the moment he gets out, there's nowhere for him to go.
Well, I think it's not maybe about him getting out. It's just about making sure that he's protected in there. Because, again, he's going, like I just said, once he does get out, there is nowhere to go, because he's going to be wanted for murder. But I think, I don't know. I just think that, I think he could do it. I even think that he could hustle himself to do it. Corporate. It's not like every business or corporation is legit. I think he would do it, because the one thing that you do know is that they did love their families. They had a very strong sense of family, and they loved each other dearly. So I think he would do it just to go back and get his dad and check on his dad. I think he continued to go to the house to check on his dad, to see that the lights were coming on and that his dad was okay.
You know how long he would have to work and how much he would have to do in order to make the money to buy that house? And not to say even if the family would want to sell that house, but I just think it's an unrealistic thing. That's why I felt when he was talking that it was more of a dream, a thought in his head that he knew would never become reality. But it's a nice thought to have on writing it down, kind of like a script that you're making, but you don't really have It's a synopsis that he wrote, but he don't actually have the words. He doesn't have the plan. He didn't actually write the script, because the amount of effort that he would have to put in, how many years it would take him to make enough money to be able to afford that house, to save his dad. Like, your dad is going to be down there for a long time. A long time.
That is true. Because
he's starting from the bottom.
That is true. But if everybody keeps thinking that house is haunted, I don't know. The house just seems to be, the house seems to be cursed. But like I said, I don't know. I liked it. And I have faith in him. I think that he would be able to do it.
And that would be the optimism of you. I'm a cynic. I will say, honestly, he ain't gonna do it. But it's a nice thought that he has.
It is. And, I don't know. I guess one of my big takeaway from this is that money doesn't necessarily buy you happiness. It doesn't make you immune to troubles, to problems. And, greed can and will destroy you if you let it. And it wasn't necessarily, and I guess, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is the greed in this one wasn't from the wealthy family wanting more. It was from the Kim family, who let their greed blind them to everything, and it created this big, horrible tragedy.
That's not greed.
How isn't what they did based off of greed?
That's not greed. That was survival. That's not greed. It's not. I didn't get the feeling that they wanted everything. I felt that they had nothing, and they were going to enjoy what little they could enjoy that was presented to them. I don't think necessarily, because greed would be if they were literally trying to rob them of their money. I didn't see them wanting to rob them of their money. I saw the family trying to survive, and their way of survival was using the fact that the wife only hired people who knew the ones who already worked for her. And they saw a great opportunity to get the whole family to get a little stable on being able to be okay financially, just okay, because I'm sure they weren't paid that much anyway because they were the help. But it wasn't necessarily greed. Greed would be if they were trying to steal their money, if they were trying to see like, ooh, they got any extra cash laying around or something. Like they never like actually stole their money. It was more of a survival thing. They just wanted to be able to not literally live the way that they had been living their whole lives. Because if they were greedy, their daughter could have just stolen the money, because she was a genius with the computer. She could have just embezzled from them.
I think, okay, I agree with that. But I think the greed is not necessarily, I think it was about, how do I put this? How do I explain it? The greed wasn't just about wanting money. It was about wanting more and not realizing what they had. And again, I'm not talking about the financial aspects of it. I'm not talking about the monetary aspects of it. I'm talking about the family aspects of it. I'm talking about, okay, you have a good job. So now that you have this good job, this decent job, these jobs that are better than what you've had before, what are you doing with that? The greed to continue wanting more. Like, instead of saving, they went and they basically stole the people's house for a week while they were out of town.
You mean to tell me you wouldn't do that?
No.
Okay, you a good person.
It's not my house. I don't have.
It may not be but I can understand people who have never ever ever had that kind of comfort around them and wanting to enjoy it now. And I felt like that was a very realistic scene of them hanging out in the house and basking in the sun in the backyard when the family's not there, and eating their food. Now granted, you drinking the liquor, like how you gonna refill that? I guess you putting water in it, and like whatever they were doing. But I thought that was a very realistic scene on them, not because they knew it was going to end. It's not like they were trying to figure out how to make it a forever thing. Like they knew it was going to end, so they were enjoying the opportunity that was presented to them, of them being in some comfort rather than going back to their sub-basement apartment where 3 of them were sleeping on the floor. Like I don't even know if I saw a bed in the one room that they had, if they even had a bed, or if they all just slept on the floor. But to go from sleeping on the floor and then you realize the family that you work for is not going to be there for a whole week. Yeah, I can see them wanting to like just sleep in a comfortable place and being able to kind of chill out and like taking advantage of the opportunity that was presented to them. Not to say that everybody would do it, but I can see why they would do it. I think that was a very realistic scene of them taking advantage of the fact that the family was not going to be there, and then they could enjoy some comfort that they would never ever have another opportunity to enjoy.
So I get that. I understand it. I wouldn't have done it, but I get it. I mean, I guess that that's just me. I wasn't assigned to house sit or check on the house, so I wouldn't stay there. I wouldn't want to be responsible for anything that goes wrong there. But that, again, that's just me. So, what did you think of Parasite overall? What would you rate?
I guess like a 3. Yeah, 3. It was really good up until it shifted, and then it lost me completely. I understood the Kim family. I'll be honest and say I've never been that poor. I didn't grow up rich. I didn't grow up, middle class, upper middle class. I didn't even grow up middle class, but I've never been that poor. But I can understand the decisions that they made. Would I agree with it? Absolutely not. But I fully understand. I think the acting was really, really good. Kind of sad when you realize that they weren't nominated for their acting. It was just the picture as a whole, but the acting was really good as well. Which kind of throws me off that they weren't nominated for their acting. American film industry, I guess. So I would say a 3. It was really good. It went batshit crazy. It lost me. I would have forced myself to watch it, but I didn't like it after that because I didn't understand why they had to have that scene. But overall, it was good. It was good. It was good. I can understand why it won the Oscars. Like, I'm not gonna downplay it. It was really good. It's not my type of movie, but it was good. What did you think?
To comment on your Oscar thing, that was a controversy about why the cast wasn't nominated for an Oscar, at least one of them, but yeah, or all of them, because it was really good. They were really great in it, but I agree with you. We all know why. I loved it, of course. I loved it from the beginning. I was like, okay. And I agree with you. I understand. I didn't grow up upper middle class or anything like that. So I get it. I've never been that poor. Thank God. Thank the heavens, knock on wood, but by the grace and blessings.
Yes.
But I do understand their decisions. Would I have made the same ones? No. Like I said, I think I found myself. I understood the movie and I liked it. I liked the message that it had. I liked, what it was about, and I think it is a universal. And again, you don't know what you would do until you've been in someone else's shoes. So I would give it overall a 4.5, 4.5 popcorns.
Cool.
Yeah, I did. I didn't even, of course. And I must say, I watched this before, got into Korean dramas, and before subtitles, watching things with subtitles just became a norm for me. So I enjoyed it. And those of you who do not know, there is a black and white version of it as well.
It's the original version.
That's the geek in me. But yeah, so I give it 4.5 stars. And see, you enjoyed it more than you thought you would until it went truly batshit crazy.
And then it lost me completely.
But so our overall popcorn rating would be 3.75 stars. I know you love when I do that.
So thank you so much for staying with us as me and Eddie talked about what we loved, what we hated, what we enjoyed about the Oscar-winning movie Parasite. Please don't forget to visit us on thepopcornwinedown.com for your daily entertainment news. Thank you so much. Eddie, anything else?
Yes, I forgot one last thing. They're working on a Parasite series for HBO Max. Yes, I'm serious.
And that is not going to be a show we are going to be reviewing. I'm putting that out there right now. Absolutely not. You are hearing it first, everybody. Tammy will not be reviewing Parasite. That must be a pop review or something like that. That's going to just come from Eddie. That's going to be all Eddie, y'all.
We will talk to you during our special extra butter episode of Inception. I'm putting it out there.
Oh gosh. Inside joke, y'all. Inside joke. Because I know that was a joke. Inside joke, y'all.
Well, as she said, thank you for joining us. Be sure to check us out on thepopcornwinedown.com daily. And also be sure to like, subscribe, listen, and follow to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Google. And until next time, that does it for this episode of Extra Butter. She doesn't allow.
It's not like extra butter. It's just a bonus episode. We don't deal with that corniness. We don't deal with that corniness.
Hi, I like that popcorn pun. I see what you did there. Great job. Until next time, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.